A man named Enrique Zelaya paid $170,000 for his mobile home in Sweetwater, Florida in July 2024. He had written documentation from park management saying the zoning would not change. 7 months later, he got an eviction notice, and by October 2025, sheriff's deputies showed up, gave him 24 hours to leave, and told him he had about 1 hour to grab his belongings, everything he owned. 1 hour. And Enrique is not alone. Right now, across the state of Florida, more than 800,000 mobile home residents are facing the same threat: rising lot rents, park closures, and corporate buyouts that are pushing everyday people out of homes they legally own. This is the crisis that lawmakers, investors, and park owners have been quietly building for years. And in 2026, it's hitting a breaking point. Let's get into it.
Here's how mobile home living works, because this is key to understanding why the situation is so bad. In most mobile home parks, residents own the actual home, the structure, but they rent the land underneath it. That land is called a lot. And that monthly lot rent, it's controlled entirely by whoever owns the park. There's no cap in Florida, no limit on how often it can go up, no ceiling on how high it can go. For decades, that system worked fine because most parks were owned by local independent operators, what people call mom and pop owners. Rents were stable, communities were tight-knit, and mobile homes served as one of the last affordable paths to homeownership in America. More than half of all manufactured home owners in the U.S. earn under $50,000 a year, and roughly 1/3 are over the age of 60. But over the past decade, something shifted. Private equity firms figured out that mobile home parks are what Tampa attorney Jeff Grabel calls cash cows. The land is cheap, the tenants are trapped because moving a manufactured home is prohibitively expensive, and most parks won't even accept older units. And there is zero federal restriction on how aggressively you can raise rents after a buyout. So the buying spree began, and Florida became ground zero.
According to the Private Equity Stakeholder Project, Florida leads the entire nation in privately owned mobile home parks. Right now, there are 235 private equity-owned parks in Florida alone, covering nearly 56,000 lots. Between 2015 and 2023, median lot rents for manufactured homes nearly doubled across Florida, according to American Housing Survey data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Nationally, median lot rents jumped 45% over the past decade. And when a park gets sold to a corporate buyer, studies of Florida mobile home communities found that eviction filings jump by 40% in the months that follow. Look at what happened in Central Florida. A resident named Mark Hose, who lived at Tradewinds Mobile Home Park in Cocoa for 10 years, watched his lot rent go from $245 a month to $725. That's nearly tripling. At the Colony in Merritt Island, a resident named Heather Powers had her lot rent raised 3 separate times in less than a year, reaching $855 a month. She told reporters she had started eating ramen noodles to keep up. In the Tampa-St. Petersburg area, lot rents in manufactured home parks have actually grown faster than rents for regular single-family homes. An 86-year-old retiree named Judy Schofield, who bought her home in Haines City for $25,000, had to go back to work part-time just to cover her monthly lot rent, which climbed to nearly $800. Her Social Security check? Almost all of it. Gone. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe right now. We cover the housing market like this every single day. The data, the real stories, and what it actually means for your money in your home. Don't miss the next one.
The story that shocked Florida was Lil Abner Mobile Home Park in Sweetwater, a community in Miami-Dade County that was once home to nearly 1,500 families. The park's owner, Consolidated Real Estate Investments, offered residents $14,000 in November 2024 to vacate by January. For a community where some people had lived for 35 years and where many had spent $150,000 or more on their homes, with documentation promising no redevelopment, $14,000 was essentially nothing. Residents fought back. They lawyered up. They organized protests.
Their attorney, David Winker, argued the owner never followed Florida law, which requires written notice to the Homeowners Association and proof that adequate alternative parks exist before any rezoning or closure can happen. A judge ruled against them anyway in September 2025. By October 21st, sheriff's deputies arrived. Nearly 200 residents who had refused to leave were removed with 24 hours' notice. Locks were changed. People were living apart from their spouses because they couldn't find one place to take both of them. Here's the other problem residents kept running into. Most of those homes were built in the 1970s and 1980s. Other parks won't accept homes that old due to age restrictions, so relocate your home wasn't actually an option for most of them. It was a technicality used to look like a solution. And in 2023, Florida actually made things worse. House Bill 1417, passed in 2023, specifically blocked local governments from implementing rent control on mobile home parks, so cities and counties that wanted to protect residents, their hands were legally tied.
Here's where 2026 comes in. In January 2026, Florida lawmakers filed House Bill 703 and Senate Bill 1550, called the Mobile Home Park Lot Tenancies Bills. Filed by Rep. Paula Stark and Sen. Lavon Bracey Davis, these bills would require park owners to actually document and justify rent increases with invoices and cost breakdowns. If an amenity is removed, rent has to drop. Owners couldn't just raise prices and call it a day. The bills would also more than double relocation assistance. Right now, if a park closes and you're forced out, you get $3,000 for a single-section home. Under the new bill, that would go up to $6,500. Multi-section homeowners would go from $6,000 to $11,500. Rep. Stark called it a bipartisan issue for residents who need affordable housing to survive. But here's the catch. Even if these bills pass, they won't take effect until July 1st, 2026, and they're still in committee review. Nothing is law yet. Meanwhile, a federal class action lawsuit is working through the courts, alleging that dozens of manufactured home parks conspired to fix and inflate lot rents using pricing data sold by a company called DataCop, a firm that markets itself specifically to private equity buyers. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are also under scrutiny because federal-backed financing is reportedly being used by private equity firms to buy up these parks, with no requirement to keep rents affordable in return.
Here's the bottom line. Mobile home parks were supposed to be one of the last affordable housing options in America, a place where seniors on Social Security, veterans, people with disabilities, and working-class families could actually own something, put down roots, build stability. What's happening in Florida right now is that wall coming down, one park sale at a time. Lot rents that used to cost $300 a month are now hitting $800, $900, $1,000. And if you can't pay, you either hand over your home or hit the street. Florida has 800,000 people caught in this system. The legislation is moving, but it hasn't passed. The lawsuits are ongoing, and corporate buyouts are still happening. Homeowners, renters, and investors are all watching closely because what happens in Florida almost always shows up everywhere else next. That's the story, and this is only the beginning.